I was sitting in church one Sunday morning, waiting for the service to begin. I guess I was in kind of a low mood. People were walking in, and I began to notice critical thoughts popping into my head about people in the room. This was really discouraging, because I did not want those critical thoughts. Being a longtime reader of Swedenborg, I knew that negative thoughts were from spirits around me, so I decided to pull in a positive thought to try to counteract the negative ones. What came to me was, they're all little pieces of God. As soon as I said those words in my mind, I felt what seemed like a focused waterfall of love pouring into the top of my head and filling me up. I suddenly felt a tremendous surge of love for everyone in the room. In that moment, I understood something that Swedenborg often wrote about, but that I had not yet been able to intellectually grasp. He wrote that the highest angels are in love of God, and angels of a lower level are in love of the neighbor. But I had always had trouble with that. It seemed like he was saying the state of the highest heaven was some easy praying to God and loving a perfect divine being, rather than engaging in the more challenging kind of love toward our imperfect fellow humans. Aren't we supposed to make the effort to love one another? But now, with this love pouring into my head, after mentally saying they're all little pieces of God, I totally got it. Love of the neighbor on its own can be more of a mental effort of tolerance, being willing to make the effort to care about people, even if they are not like me, because it's the right thing to do, which is a very good thing. But this was something much, much more. There was no effort in this feeling of love. This was loving God in the goodness of these people around me. It was an instant recognition of their value as sparks of the divine. So in loving God for that moment, I was able to love all the people around me with a power that had no conditions on it. God was present in these people. They were lovable, beautiful, and wonderful simply because they existed. This feeling only lasted a couple of seconds before I had to resist it and shut it out, because it moved me so powerfully that I was going to start sobbing uncontrollably right there in the pew, which might have been a bit disruptive to the church service. I now have a new feeling of what it means to love God. To love God is to humbly turn toward and open up to God, which then allows me to recognize the presence of God in other people, in their goodness. This makes loving God into the same thing as loving the neighbor, only I'm not doing the loving with my own limited power. I'm working in partnership with God's love. From feeling the momentary power of that love, I get now how God's love can be too much to handle if we haven't softened enough to be able to receive it. Swedenborg sometimes described feeling a level of heavenly love that almost dissolved him. I deeply hope to be able to handle that level of love for more than a few seconds someday.
So there's those concepts actually clicking in someone's mind and making sense. And there's going to be a bunch of nuance to it. So you may find them click for some other way for you. But what I've found is with Swedenborg's stuff, it seems like this is weird and theoretical. This is weird and theoretical. I get it. No, that is really potent. That makes a lot of sense. It just takes the right life circumstance to trigger it, and then you see the living thing in it rather than just the shell of the descriptive words, as Karin did there. You may have recognized these two loves, love of the Lord, love of the neighbor, are the two great commandments. When Jesus is asked, what's the whole point of this thing? He says, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets, meaning all the Old Testament. So that's pretty important. If all that stuff hinges on it, all spirituality, all religion hinges on love the good, love the true.